Hola amigos, welcome to MX Disc Golf. My name is Raul Barcelo and I'm joined today by Luke Humphreys.
How's it going? Glad to be on the channel with you, Raul.
I'm good, man. I'm really glad you're here today, and we're going to be watching the MPO lead card final round for the Piney Woods Open, which is an A tier out in Tyler, Texas. It's played on the Dogwood course.
Yeah, this is one of 3 courses on the property, the hardest of which, this is the same one that they play the Texas States at. We saw Ricky Wysocki take that down this year, and it's going to be on the Pro Tour circuit for 2022.
Today we're going to be watching Chris Harris, Chandler Kramer, Christopher Farnham, and Miles Seaborn, all of whom are just one stroke away from each other. Basically, it's anybody's game at this point.
That's awesome. Brought to you guys by Dynamic Disc Carrollton. They run great tournaments, have for a long time in the Dallas area. Steve-O, Brad, looks like they got Draper there. They got a good crew. Yeah, you know that these guys are a little anxious right before your round, final round.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your 132 time for the final round of the 2021 Piney Woods Open presented by Dynamic Discs. This is your lead card. First up on the box, let's get a big round of applause going for Chris Harris.
All right, we got Chris Harris. This guy is Texas legend. He's been playing a long time, been playing pro a long time. He's got a fantastic game all around. You're going to see mostly backhands, great spin putt. Grew up in Texas, so you got to have that wind spin putt, you know.
And he's currently tied for first place with 15 down after 2 rounds.
Yeah, he shot 8 and 7, 2 great rounds.
And just like you were saying, he's going to go righty backhand hyzer.
That's definitely the play. It's kind of like a stall. You want to push that thing as straight as you can and then get it to fall left late at the end of its flight. Somebody who's not going to be doing that is Chandler Cramer. Guy throws a bunch of forehands. He's really good at it. I think he plays on the Texas A&M team and has a baseball background. So you're going to see some huge forehands, Raul.
And Chandler is tied for first place here, so you know that he's doing something right with those forehands. Here he's going to try to keep it low, and unfortunately he's going to hit that tree in the middle of the fairway.
Third up on the box, your
Okay, so he's playing that one low. There is a high forehand shot as well that somebody who's got a forehand of his power could try and go for, but we're going to see Chris Farnham, who could be playing Masters, I believe, right now.
Yeah.
But he has so much power. This guy smashes. He's also a local legend in Texas. And this is his home course, so.
Farnham came out very focused. You could see it in his eyes. He knows he's only 1 stroke back from the lead, so he's really going to try to take it down. Here he's also going to go with a hyzer.
Yeah, you can see that power. Guy just rips it.
Yeah, it looked like a really good shot. He actually got around that tree. And here we have Miles Seaborn from the Dynamic Disc team. He's also just 1 stroke back from the lead. And he's also going to go with the righty backhand hyzer.
As we see Miles line this up.
And it looks like Miles did not get that wide enough. And so he's going to find that big tree in the middle of the fairway, the same one that Chandler found. First on the approach here is going to be Chandler Kramer. He's, like I mentioned, at the base of that tree.
Yeah, there's a little bit of scrambling to be done from here. He's only like halfway, maybe a little further than that, to the basket. And he needs to land this short of the basket. Very downhill approach to that green.
And now we have Miles Seaborn, and we see that his lie is actually on top of that little mound at the base of the tree. So his footing is going to be pretty awkward here.
Wow, super awkward footing for Miles. This is not something you can practice.
I was going to say, I don't think that's something you can practice.
Yeah, you just got to use your athleticism in situations like this. Manufacture a little shot. Wow.
And that was actually a really good shot from Miles.
Huge skip. Oh my gosh. That was a stable disc. Got to angle and skip, like we said. It's downhill, goes away fast. Players need to watch their speed coming into this green.
And here we see where Chris Harris is driving it up. He is going to be a little bit blocked. He's going to have to go to a knee. And you know, anytime that you see a player going from the knee, his options are going to be pretty limited. So here we're going to go little forehand through the little gap in the trees.
Indeed. Okay. Little window. Looked like it hit something on the way out, and that's leaving him about 40 feet, super downhill. That's just a layup.
Yeah, I don't think he wanted anything to do with that putt.
Yeah, it could have been further, maybe 50. Now Chandler.
Yeah, this is also well outside the circle.
Yeah.
It's also downhill, so you know they're thinking it's a little bit of a death putt, but it's well within their range, so you know all of these guys are going to at least give it a half-decent run. That's a little half run, maybe.
Yeah, a little half run. Looked like he went through his entire routine.
Now, this is for a 2.
Chris Farnham.
This is a pretty soft par 4, in my opinion.
It is hard to get all the way down there for a putt, though.
Yeah.
Definitely on the softer side, but this guy would know the line if anybody would.
Ooh, so close. But he's going to have to settle for that birdie.
Yeah, there's some guys that are taking 4s, though, so he's not losing strokes to anybody.
Next up here is going to be Miles, who went long from his upshot after that awkward stance, and now is going to be sitting maybe around circle's edge, coming back uphill towards the basket.
Yep. Yeah, it looks like some gusty winds kind of in the area.
Yeah, wind seems to always be a factor in Texas, and so let's see how Miles can handle this putt.
Ooh, what an up and down from that fully straddled out position to card the birdie then.
So Miles Seaborn is able to capitalize after not having the best drive off the tee and having that awkward stance, but still ends up with a birdie. And here we're going to get Chris Harris and Chandler Kramer with their pars. And look at that scorecard, man. Everybody's tied for first place after the first hole. That's what we want to see.
Wow, the two guys that were chasing got the stroke that they needed, tied it up after one.
Yep, we got some very exciting golf ahead of us now. And now hole 2, par 3, 300 feet.
We've got a position on the right side. Players are going to need to hit this hallway. Anything that deflects, though, might find out-of-bounds creek. This is a very crucial shot in your round.
This hole looks easy on paper. It's only 300 feet. It looks like you just have to throw a forehand. But the amount of tree gaps that you have to hit make this hole very, very tricky.
It's a 2 or a 4.
Yeah.
If you get it through there, you'll have a putt. You'll be on the green. You need to get this thing straight about 250, 260 feet and start breaking it to the right. It is a forehand shot.
He's going to get a little bit unlucky with hitting that tree, which is going to redirect him straighter, and he's actually going to find the out-of-bounds deep there.
It's a snaking river.
Yeah.
Kind of hit or miss, kind of lucky whether or not you get stuck in bounds. Chris Farnham did find that little peninsula, though, that you see over there. All right, I don't dislike this play, I should say.
That was a really good shot. That almost hit our cameraman there, the catch cam.
Ooh.
But that's still going to be a really good shot. That's going to be in the little peninsula island, and he's going to have a look for it too.
Yep.
And this hole sets up perfectly for Chandler and his forehand. I love the way that when he's lining it up, it looks like he's lining up a left-hand backhand, but it's really just trying to get his motion correct there.
Yeah, he just, it's almost to engage his hips. He's got the baseball background, so it's like a right-hander baseball swing. And he gets it going like that.
And it's working for him.
He also looked like he hit early. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Early right?
Yes, that is correct. But first, what we're going to see here is going to be Farnham's upshot.
Okay. And did he find the out of bounds, or was he in bounds? Do you know?
Farnham was in bounds off the tee there.
Okay. Chris just pitching up under the basket. He will happily take a 3 after his tee shot.
Yeah.
Anytime that you leak that thing early right and get away with it. All right, so this is where Miles went out of bounds. It is.
Yeah, Miles was barely out of bounds there.
Okay.
And Miles is just going to pitch it up under the basket. He's going to take his medicine and take a 4 here. And up next, we're going to have Chandler Kramer, who actually did make it into the little peninsula island area off the tee. So he's going to have a look for his birdie here.
Yeah, goes with the jumper.
Oh, and it just looked a little bit soft.
Catches that tree on the way in. He'll just be taking a par now. And this is where Chris Harris threw his backhand to. Long left of the basket. He's got about 29 feet coming back.
Yeah, so after missing that putt, Chris Harris will just have to settle for his par. And so will everyone else. Will just clean up their putts. Everybody with a par except for Miles. He's going to end up with the lone bogey.
Yeah, there was a handful of bad shots thrown, and he's the only one to get penalized.
Yeah.
Headed into hole 3, man. It's one of my favorite holes on the course. We're going to see players throwing anywhere from mid-range to full speed off the tee here, trying to push their discs straight and at the end of the flight move left, but not really hook up left. It can't be a stable disc. It's got to be a straight finish, man. Flips it up nicely. He's pinched himself a little bit on the left-hand side, though. You want to finish more straight than Chris did. Not a bad play, though, to push through the gap all the way.
Now, Chris Harris is also going to try to lace one down the middle here. You really want to go perfectly straight, like you were saying, Luke. And it looks like Chris has done a pretty good job of making all the gaps and heading straight down the fairway here. And here we're going to have Chandler Kramer going with a forehand on a right to left hole.
There's a hard left-hand turn in the fairway. It's right about where the creek is.
It's not normally the play you'd see on a hole like this. So
I almost like that, though. I almost like the right fade out. It ends up opening up your angle.
Miles is going to be next up to tee here. We've seen 3 drives that have been laced down the middle and still haven't ended up in ideal positions for their upshot. So let's see if Miles can make the correction here.
As we see, good looking shot from Miles. Amazing. That's how you're supposed to do it. And did that go in the creek?
No, that did not go in.
Well, that's as good as you can do it. He's up by that bridge that you can see in front of Chris. Chris is pinched pretty far here on the left side. He's going to throw this one, up into the air. Looks like he's doing a little Spike Heiser imitation.
He's trying to figure out his options. Spike Heiser or little forehand flex.
Touchy, floaty, forehand, and Heiser is a play that you can go with.
Yeah, there's not really any gaps there per se. There's a lot of really small gaps that you can magically get through.
Yeah, you can hit your first gap, but you've got to hit 4 or 5.
So Farnham is able to get it over the creek, and he is going to be looking at the basket for eagle, as this is a par 5.
Okay. Oh, this was playing as a par 5. Yeah. They played as a 4 at Texas State.
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, it does set up nice for an eagle look if you can get all the way down there. So this was a full flight from Chris Harris.
Yeah.
Little left, like we said. Looks like he's going for the same type of shot. It feels like he kind of got robbed there late in the flight. It's impossible to judge exactly where those trees are late.
This is where Chandler ended up from his drive.
No kidding. Oh, really? Yeah. Chandler drifted well right at the end of the flight.
And Chandler's unfortunately going to find the OB Creek there after that second shot.
That's a mistake you can't make in a situation like this.
Yeah.
Final round of a tournament coming down the stretch. Yeah, Miles.
Now this is a look for Albatross. A 2 on a par 5 here for Miles Seaborn. Let's see what he can do. Oh, and he just hit that tree that was in front of him. He's still going to have a look for eagle, but I'm sure he's going to be disappointed that he didn't give it a better run.
All right, still sort of in a tricky position, Chandler. Only about 110, 120 foot shot, but he's got to maneuver through some stuff.
And I don't know if you were able to catch that, but he hit the very edge of that bridge right there, right in front of him, and he didn't go very far at all.
No kidding.
So now this is his next shot. And it was kind of hard to see it on the camera because I wasn't expecting him to hit so close. So I was already kind of pointing the camera up towards the basket, and the disc ended up being left and low on the screen.
So this is his fifth now
Yes.
on a very soft par 5.
Yeah.
A couple of guys up there with eagle bids,
Yeah.
and he's got this par bid here.
And Chandler barely misses, and he's going to have to settle for bogey while all the other guys on his card have eagle looks still coming up.
Look great out of the hand. All right, so this is to get up and down from perfect position. You wouldn't want to let one go here. Awesome job from Miles Seaborn, bouncing back from that bogey,
Absolutely.
carding the eagle. That was a great forehand up through the ceiling there to get to this position. Right. So Farnham will tap in. We'll have two guys at 16. Harris in the lead by 1 now. Kramer headed the wrong way. Slow start. But he's put himself in position. If he plays a good, strong, probably needs to be bogey-free from here on out. He can still put his name on that trophy, but got to start doing some stuff.
Okay, so hole 4 is a par 4 that might not be that long in distance, but it's actually pretty tough. It's a uphill 90-degree angle.
All right, here we are, par 4. It's a shorter par 4, but a demanding tee.
Right hand forehand is probably the preferred route here, and if you don't have a forehand like Chris here trying to go backhand, this shot is going to be very tough. And as we see here, Chris is going to clip the trees on the right there, and he's not going to even make it out of the corner.
Yeah, it's a pretty stock 250 forehand for a righty forehander, but it's a tricky shot for a backhand right-hand guy. It's just a really touchy, floaty distance. You're not looking at a full shot here. If you throw it through the fairway, your angle is completely cut off as this fairway moves right the entire way.
Miles is going to go with the forehand. He's going to hit the gap, but he's going to hit a late tree there.
Okay. Couple different gaps that you can hit in the fairway, left and right gap on your second shot. I'm just looking to randomly end up in one of them, hopefully.
Farnham is able to hit the gap with his backhand, and he's going to be left maybe slight out of position from the perfect landing zone, but still a pretty good tee shot. Now, Chandler, after that bogey, he's going to want to crush this drive. This is perfect for his forehand. And let's see what he can do.
Yeah, which is not a good idea because it's a total placement shot.
Okay. And Chandler's going to hit a tree there in the middle of the fairway, so he's not going to be too far off from the tee pad and close to the corner. And now Chris Harris, he has to go here with a forehand roller from a knee. So let's just say that that's the first forehand roller from a knee that we've seen, and you know that that's probably not a good lie from where he was.
This is a good ground for a forehand roller, though. It's just pine straw laid out on the ground. Not many roots.
So here's Chandler with his second shot. He's still a long ways from the basket. He barely made the corner after hitting that tree. And so you can see the basket there. It's going to be a hard shot.
Yeah, he'll need to flip this thing to flat, get it to travel straight for a long time. It's a difficult shot for a forehand. And I was just inside and low.
And here's Miles with his second shot. It looks like he's just a little bit out of position there on the left side.
Yeah, that's past the fairway there on the left.
He's trying to go for a very small gap there with the patent pending, and he hits the first available.
Oh, unfortunate.
Now here's Chris Farnham, who is slightly out of position also. Just pinched off between those two small trees. And Farnham has a really good upshot there from where he was. Would you say this is one of the hardest holes on the course?
I guess it comes in somewhere around the middle.
Yeah.
You've got some guys that chunk it around on the outside, but you've got a majority of the field giving themselves an opportunity at birdie on this one for sure. It's 474. You throw it 250 on the first shot, and you've got less than 250 in, and it's dealer's choice for the most part. You know, you're throwing your approach disc that you should be pretty dialed with, something you can get up and down with.
250 feet for any MPO should be.
And not just any MPO. I mean, these guys have played 2 rounds now. You know, this is the cream that's rose to the top. Oh, he deflects over there on the left side.
Miles Seaborn, not a great third shot after hitting first available after his second shot.
This hole's really getting to these guys. It's not a really difficult, it's a demanding shot, but it's not super high level. Placing a drive out there in the middle to give yourself a second shot's, it's not asking that much. These guys are acting like it is right now.
Chris Harris is going to have to go back to another forehand roller.
Back-to-back forehand rollers. Was that a thumber roller?
No, I don't think that was a thumber roller. I think that was a regular roller because of the way that ended up going to the left there.
Okay, all right.
Chris having to throw another forehand roller just tells you how out of position he is and how hard this hole is being for these guys right now. That was Miles's par look, and he's still going to have a little bit of work to do for his bogey.
It's just a really tough hole to play from the rough. And that's kind of what we're seeing. Gaps are small.
Now this is Chandler Kramer's birdie look. Long birdie look. And he's going to have to settle for that par. Now this is Chris Harris. After hitting early right and then 2 forehand rollers, and now he's past the basket looking back at the basket for par. Let's see what he can do here.
Okay. Outside the circle by the looks of it. Man, straddled out. Oh, count it. Chris Harris, the scramble master.
Oh, and that's an amazing putt by Chris Harris. That's awesome. And like I said before, Farnham had an amazing second shot there, so that's what he's going to be left in for his birdie. And so that's going to move Farnham up to be tied for first place with Chris Harris. And Miles is going to card a bogey there. And then Chandler this par, and we'll move on to hole 5.
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago we were all tied at 15s. All right, so this hole 5, par 3, 306, and one of the best birdies on the course. I mean, this one is hard to get. When you get it, it feels great. Fairway moves left to right, and the hallway is no bigger than 8 to 10 feet at certain points. Yeah, any kicks moving left are going to end up in great position. Anything that kicks right is going to be left in jail. So you really don't want to hit trees on this one. You don't want to leave it up to chance. But people that move right are definitely going to have a harder time getting up and down.
So far, all the drives that we've seen have kicked on some kind of tree. Nobody's been able to make it past the smallest gap there in the middle of the fairway. So we're going to see some scrambling.
It's tough. It's a tough ask over there on the right side. Your work's cut out for you.
Yep.
You'll have a gap probably within 20 feet of yourself. You got to hit. I look pretty good. Maybe a little wide.
And finally, Miles with the last attempt here at maybe getting close to the basket. It's not going to be looking good this time.
Oh, man. Going forehand roller. There is kind of a little river, a little creek thing right behind the basket that you can just throw your disc into and have your 10, 12 footer back up the hill.
Yeah, but it's definitely not ideal. So yeah, Miles there from the knee, totally out of position, nothing to do, and not ideal to try to go forehand roller. He's not going to go very far. And this is exactly what I was talking about. See, these guys were just maybe 12 feet left of where Miles was, and they have a way better look. And yeah, it's just how this hole is.
Drop down in perfect position. If you have to hit a tree on this hole, pray that your disc lands here.
Yeah. So both Chris Harris and Chandler Kramer are fortunate enough to land in the middle of the fairway and are going to be able to have a somewhat decent run at the basket, keeping in mind that it's a death putt behind it. It slopes off pretty harsh right behind it. And so is Chris Farnham here going to have a look for a birdie from pretty far away, though.
Yeah, that's also a great place to end up after you've hit a tree. That's the tight gap that you got to hit right there, and it's no more than 8 feet. It's around the corner as well, blind from the tee box. So
this is a really hard birdie to get.
I think Rick birdied it all 3 rounds during Texas State's. Yeah, we're talking about elite level at that point, obviously. A lot of practice. All right, so Miles here now for his par, right?
Yeah, that was Miles for his par. And unfortunately, he's going to have to settle for bogey at best. Hopefully, they didn't go very far back behind the basket there. And now we have Chandler's putt for par.
It's got to go right around that tree. Looks like he chooses to straddle right.
And that was a good putt from Chandler.
Got to have him to keep the round going. Needs to be birdies for him, though.
So the rest of the guys are pretty close here, so they're just going to clean up their putts. And Important to note here that the chase card, Freddie Mesa, is already 4 for 4 in the first holes.
Interesting. All right. We'll keep checking in on what the chase card's doing. Unfortunate bogey from Miles. That makes 2 in a row.
That was the first hole that we've seen with no birdies on it so far on this card.
And that's not what you want. Got a chance to bounce back here on hole 6. This hole playing across an out of bounds creek.
Yeah, this hole is definitely within reach for all of these guys, and it's probably one of the easier holes on this course. First up to the tee is Christopher Farnham.
Yeah, a little high. Looking to drive that thing 8-10 feet high. It's a great opportunity at birdie. Kind of turn things around.
It looks like Chris Harris is able to make the correction there from Farnham's throw. He laces one down the fairway perfectly, and that looks like a really good opportunity for birdie. Now Chandler's going to try to go forehand here. And unfortunately, he's going to catch an early tree. He's not going to get as far down the fairway as he would like. It's going to be a long look for 2.
Looked like it stayed out of the creek, though.
Yeah, and he's actually going to be on the other side of the creek, so that's actually even better than I thought it was. And Miles is also going to go for the backhand line straight down the middle.
Miles a little early left with it.
He just early releases it a little bit left. Hits an early tree. You can start seeing some of the frustration there from Miles. So here's Kramer's look for birdie. It's a long look. He still has a chance. But it's not what he wants to see probably. He gives it an honest bid. But that'll be a par. Another missed opportunity there. Miles Seaborn here with a long look.
Just safe over there.
Man, that was a good run also. Finds meadow. Farnham from outside the circle after fading out early. It's a huge putt. He knows that Chris Harris is close. And unfortunately, he does not connect. And so with that, easy birdie putt from Chris Harris. That's going to put him back up.
Yeah, fantastic birdie from Chris Harris, getting himself into that driver's seat again. Yeah, regain the lead back. Here we are, par 4. Also, not really a long par 4, just a technical drive. Players are going to want to move it right to left. If they're going backhand, they'll want it to be flipping up the entire time. It's not a stable disc shot, but anything that moves 300 to 350 feet up the fairway is going to have a good opportunity at birdie. You see a lot of players miss straight, just go too far past the fairway, not getting it to move left fast enough.
Yeah, making this first corner is key. As we saw Chris Harris do that with his drive. And now Chris Farnham also making the corner but hitting a late tree, and it's going to be sitting in the middle of the fairway. Both Chris's with very similar shots there. What do you think of the forehand play here, Luke?
I do like this forehand play from Chandler here. You can get way up the fairway if you put this thing high. Keep it turning the entire time.
And here's Miles. He's also going with the backhand.
Miles. Tons of hyzer out of the hand.
And Miles is going to be left with a very similar position to both Chris's after hitting that late tree in the fairway. Now, first one up on his approach shot is going to be Chris Farnham.
All right, so Chris, he's got this approach shot left, looking to go left of that big tree. Flex it back a little bit.
And unfortunately, he hits that late tree there, and he's going to kick back a little bit into that ditch.
Miles left with a much easier angle in. It's still a little awkward for him. He's got to decide which side of the tree he's going to throw on here, and he's going left side, so this will be a straighter shot.
And that was a really good approach from Miles. That's going to leave him a really good chance for his birdie. And now we're going to see Chris Harris with a forehand approach, which I don't know that we've seen a whole lot of forehands from Chris Harris.
And our leader, it's a tricky spot, but it's also the furthest up the fairway. I should be able to work with this. There's a ravine about circle's edge that catches discs.
Yeah.
If you throw it too low.
Chris Harris was able to get past it. And now this is where Chandler's drive ended up after that forehand.
Oh, overturned it. Kicked and rolled right into the rough, and that can be very tricky over there. Just depends on how he ended up, and it is a Sky Anheuser play. A forehand can work well out of there if he has a window. No way. That's what happens when you push it through the fairway on the right side there. He ended up overturning it to cut roll over there, but that's the spot. That's the no zone over there.
And he catches first available again.
Yeah, he's showing good composure here. Not the optimal start that, I mean, we know he wanted, but something to be said for putting yourself in the situation, getting on film, playing with these guys.
Yeah, I'm sure these guys had a little bit of the camera jitters. They didn't even know that we were going to get filmed until right before the round started.
And I've had it happen to me before, similar to that. You show up and find out that it's getting filmed. It shouldn't change the mindset, though. You still got to throw the shots. You just take a deep breath and forget that the cameras are there. Play your game.
Now, Chris Farnham, after that approach shot, he hit that tree and rolled back into this little ditch, which is the ravine you were talking about.
Chris from about 80, 90 feet, just giving it a long bid. All right, Chris Harris now.
This is for birdie.
Looks to be outside 40. Cashes it in. He's got a really good one. We mentioned it at the top. He was in the lead before the hole. He is pushing that lead even further now. 19 under par for the tournament.
Now, this is Miles' third shot.
It was a great approach shot from Miles to get himself in position for his birdie.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Miles is in the thick of it right now. He's coming off a couple bogeys. Par, he had a good chance at birdie there.
Wow.
Unfortunately, he's going to need to settle for a par.
Now, Chandler's going to clean up his bogey, and the rest of the guys will clean up their pars.
Yes.
And we'll move on to hole 8.
Hole 8, this is kind of a new hole now. It's only about a year old. Definitely one of the best birdies on the course. Hard one to get. And it looked like Chris got all the way up there for a putt. Yeah, anything in circle 2 fantastic. If you've got circle one, you've done something special. It's a flip up backhand, something that'll move left a little bit, but then straighten out and push forward for a good bit of pace. Plays downhill, but then back uphill. So.
And here's Farnham with a laced drive down the fairway. You can hear the cheers there from the gallery.
Yeah, you see his body English as well. He's excited about that one. Knows how important it is to hit this gap. If you don't do it, your chances at par aren't there. You might be taking a bogey.
Now here's Miles. He's also going to go with a backhand. He's going to try to replicate what Farnham just did with his drive. He really needs a birdie here. And it looks like it's going to be a little bit left.
Miles just needs to take a deep breath. Get back to the basics. Just put a balanced, well-tempo stroke on it.
Now here's Chandler.
Man, this needs to be a late turning forehand from Chandler. It does set up well, though. Yeah, we had Nate Perkins and Big Germ throwing good forehands on this hole. I know Eric Oakley birdied it forehand. Yeah, he likes it.
Yeah, that was a really good drive from Chandler there. And now this is where Miles's drive ended up, which was early left, as mentioned. And he's going to have to contend with a pretty difficult approach shot here.
Yeah, because it goes downhill and then back uphill, the ceiling comes into play. And is he lining up a high shot here?
Yeah, it looks like he's aiming for that high hyzer going right to left. He hits an early tree there.
All right, left himself about 100. This is where you see drives land. This is kind of the pinch area that players kick to. This is not where you want to be throwing your par attempt from.
Yeah, and it looks like Miles really doesn't have a good angle here, or at least he doesn't feel comfortable. So it seems like he's going to switch to the forehand here. He's just going to probably pitch it up to the basket and just concede the four there, which is unfortunate. And this is Chandler's drive. This is for his birdie attempt. This was a great forehand drive.
Nice forehand off the tee leaves Chandler just outside circle one for his.
Ooh, that was so good. Close.
And this is where Chris's drive landed. This is incredible stuff from him. This is circle one to push his lead even further on these guys. Was Farnham putted?
No, Farnham is even closer.
Unbelievable. Wow. He is putting really well.
Yeah, it's really amazing to see such great putting, holding on to the lead like this. It's just making it difficult for everybody else to catch him.
Harris on a heater. Farnham to match.
Farnham with what was probably one of the best drives we've seen all day so far.
Yeah, there we go. Nice birdie from Farnham. An unfortunate bogey for Seabourn. His tumultuous round continues. It's been up and down for him. No, Chris Harris now has 6 strokes on him just in this round alone. Headed into the last hole on this front nine.
So
Playing as a straight shot.
hole 9 is a par 3, 351 feet.
All right, Champion Edition T-Bird, old Innova plastic. You can see the basket in the background there.
Yeah, we've seen Chris throwing this disc around all day. He can really maneuver it through some gaps. Let's see.
Little left, little short.
Left, yeah. And now Farnham, I don't know what this is, but it also looked pretty old.
Yeah, he's Millennium sponsored, so he's got some Innova plastic in there as well. And I know he loves his rocks. He keeps some of those glow 5-time Kenny Climo rocks in there. And that was a good shot. That got all the way pin high, a little right of the basket, it looked like. And this shot definitely plays easier for a right-hand backhand. Chandler's going to need to flip this thing up to flat, maybe even move it a little left, but not let it drift out early right.
Yeah, we've seen what he's capable of doing with his forehand, so the straight shot I would expect him to be able to handle pretty well.
Wow, that was an incredible shot from him.
Amazing.
That was an ace run.
Yeah, that was so close. That was so good. I would have loved to see an ace. He's going to be very close to the basket there. And now we have Miles here.
Yeah. Not the position he thought he'd find himself in after the first 8 holes. Chance to get a good birdie here. Oh, and this is fantastic. Incredible shot from Miles. That had to have stayed close.
That actually hit that very last tree there. So,
last one.
Yeah, last one. So,
oh, man.
He's going to have a circle 2 look here for his birdie. Yeah, and we can see a little bit of that frustration from Miles. He's just not having a great day. Things are just not going his way today.
Little jumper.
Now, this is some very high drama happening here. After throwing a very good drive, Chris Harris was unable to find his driver inside the circle. He had to go back and re-tee after 3 minutes.
No way.
Yes, sir.
So our guy who's in first place loses a freak disc in the rough.
Not even in the rough, in the leaves inside the circle.
Weren't there people up by the basket?
Yeah, there were people up by the basket.
Oh my god. He's taking a double bogey. Oh my gosh. A 3-stroke swing potentially after landing his drive initially in circle 1. You just don't see it. What a turn of events. Wow.
And all of us looked and we couldn't find it. It was under some leaves. So here you know that Farnham's really thinking he must make this. This is a must make for him. So he's really going to take his time, concentrate. This first 2.
Makes good. Yeah. So he'll jump to 19. Chris Harris dropped to 18. And just like that, first Chandler, he's got to swing this one real close to the tree.
That was his first birdie of the day today.
Yeah, it's a good one to get. Really? It's been a bit of a slow start for the young man, but there you have it after a double bogey from Chris Harris, who was playing a fantastic round at that point. Well, he's not out of it by any means. Definitely come back and see how this thing finishes up.
Yeah, thank you, Luke, for being here, and thank you guys for watching. And don't forget to watch the back 9 here on MX Disc Golf.
That's right. Big thanks to Dynamic Disc Carrollton for putting on the event.
Thank you to everybody who was part of this awesome tournament that's been going on for many years now. We love to be able to be a part of it. Thank you for joining us on this front 9 for the Piney Woods Open 2021, brought to you by Dynamic Disc. Special thanks to Steve-O and everybody else who put this tournament together, and to my catch cam, my buddy Paul Morgan. See you guys on the back 9.